In this video, I want to talk about my New World closed beta impressions so far. This is the new MMO by Amazon. I've played about 25 or 30 hours. I've done some dungeons, I've done some PvE, I've done some PvP, so I have a pretty good idea how this game's going to play. I'm obviously not at endgame yet, so I don't have a good sense on that. But for the most part, I have a general idea of how the game is. People have been asking me, what's the game play like? What do I like about it? What I don't like about it? Is it better than other MMOs out there? So in this video, I'm going to try and answer those questions as best as I can. Okay, so first up, what's the game play like? To me, the game plays sort of like a combination of maybe something like the Elder Scrolls Online and a combination of Albion Online. In Albion Online, you don't really have a class, which is the way New World is. You simply have weapons that you can choose or the armor that you choose, and that sort of dictates your playstyle. You also have attribute points in New World that, strength, constitution, dexterity. So you're going to make your build from putting your points into your attributes, the weapons you select, and the skills you select with those weapons, along with the armor that you get that has, bonuses and stat bonuses on it. So that's going to comprise your build, and of course you can swap these around, you can respec, so you can play around with different builds, not unlike Albion Online. The reason I make the comparison to Elder Scrolls Online, as well as Albion Online, is because I feel like maybe the combat is most similar to that in terms of the way you fight. Or maybe something like BDO. You don't have a lock-on system, there's no tab targeting, everything is manually aimed, including ranged attacks. So it's not exactly like that, but combat plays a little bit more towards that side of MMOs than maybe some other ones like WoW or Final Fantasy or something like this. Another big emphasis to the game is crafting. The crafting system is extremely in-depth, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. You spend a lot of time gathering, crafting, almost like a survival game without survival elements. There's so much crafting in this game. And that reminds me a lot of Albion Online. Crafting is such a huge part of that game, having a lot to do with the loot in the game. So you're going to see similarities here between those games. Some of the things I like about the game, first up is visuals. The game is visually stunning for an MMO. The graphics are really, really strong, and in some ways, it reminds me of what the Elder Scrolls Online looked like, or at least what I remember it looking like when it came out. The graphics on Elder Scrolls Online when it came out were really, really strong. They've since dated. But this game has really strong graphic visual appeal and style for an MMO. The sound design is also very good, the music is relaxing, and the crafting, again, is one of the strongest parts of the game. If you are a player who loves to craft, an Albion player or an Elder Scrolls Online player, or maybe even some other MMOs, and you love crafting, that is such a huge part of this game. You should really like that in this as well. I like the general concept of the PvP in the game as an idea. The fact that you have open world PvP, meaning you can flag up and run around in PvP, not unlike Albion. Except instead of having regions where you can PvP, it's, you can flag up anywhere and go anywhere, basically, and do it. And also these large-scale battles are really interesting as a concept. I'm not sure how it came off in execution, but in terms of concept, I like the idea a lot. The small amount of dungeons I've done so far have been kind of fun. They're not overly involved so far. I would imagine they're going to get more and more complicated in terms of mechanics as I get deeper into the dungeons, so I haven't done them all or anything like that. But it sort of reminds me of what I was hoping Dark Alliance would play like. It's very hack and slashy, but there is tank healer DPS rolls, and you get loot after bosses, there's hidden chests, and, it's more of what you would expect from an MMO than Dark Alliance. But it almost is what I would expect Dark Alliance, the new Dark Alliance game, to play like. Moving along to the things I don't like, I would say that the questing is extremely repetitive in some cases. Like, you have a lot of the same sort of quests. A lot of quests are just grab quests from a board, go out, harvest some resource, come back, or kill some enemies, come back. And so you just do this over and over and over, and you start to, or go collect some stuff from chests. And you start to see these all over the map. It's almost like there's like 10 or 15 quests that are just repeated maybe, 50 times or so. Another complaint of mine is the enemy variety. It does get better and more variety as you get further and further into the zones. But I feel as a whole, they could have done a lot more with the enemy variety in the game. And there also is like a huge problem with the way questing works in enemies. Like some enemies, everyone has to kill for their quest, and there's just tons of people waiting around them. This is a problem that's existed since time immemorial in MMOs. And another thing that really makes this problem worse is the fact that there's a lot of quests where you have to kill animals and then skin them. Well, only one player can skin that animal. So if 10 people kill it and you need to skin 3 of them, then you have to fight all those 10 people to skin 3 animals. So even if you kill it, they can run over and skin it. So this can be a problem and really frustrating for some of those quests. Talking about the story narrative, it's kind of weak. Admittedly, I've been skipping through a lot of dialogue because I've been trying to level pretty quickly. so I haven't been focusing on it as much as you probably would. But there is, not a huge story to this game. If you're somebody who really loves narratives, you're probably not going to find it in New World. Another issue I have with the game is the combat. I like the combat for the most part, but it's rather simplistic. I find myself light attacking and heavy attacking and a lot more than you probably would in any other MMO you've ever played. It's almost akin, I hate to use this comparison, but to a Souls game in some regards, because you spend a lot of time dodging, blocking, and attacking rather than using your abilities, because you only have 3 abilities. And sometimes they're very, very situational. One might be a stun. Well, if you're fighting one enemy, you might not need to stun it. Another one's a gap closer. Well, you don't need to use a gap closer if you're right on top of the enemy. So you find yourself block, attack, which is fine. But when you have to wade through 30 enemies in a row to get to the elite enemy to kill for a quest, and you're fighting them all pseudo-Souls style, it takes a really long time just to get to that one enemy. So I do wish there was more skill variety or ability variety for the players. I'm hoping this is something they can add over time with feedback. But it could be a little bit better. Probably the last question I get asked is this game a WoW killer? Is it better than Final Fantasy XIV? Is it better than Elder Scrolls Online? Will this game have legs? Will it carry itself? Is it going to last? And I think the answer to this right now is that this game, New World, is not better than most modern MMOs out there at the moment. It's probably not a fair comparison. You're taking a game in beta. Admittedly, it's got a month left, so it's probably going to be live release here in a month, similar to what we played during the beta, maybe with less bugs and server issues, hopefully. But it's probably unfair to compare a game that just launched to games that have had 7 to 10 to 15 years of patches and content updates. And I would say that it's not as good as those games. Hands down, those games have had way more time to develop their systems and improve on their systems. So no, it is not as good as those games. That said, Elder Scrolls Online was a disaster when it launched. Final Fantasy XIV was not particularly successful when it launched. Those games have made revivals over time and gotten better and better, and I fully expect New World to do the same. In my opinion, New World is at a better place at launch, barring a couple glaring bugs that hopefully they get fixed before launch, than Elder Scrolls Online was at launch. I feel like as long as they keep developing the way Elder Scrolls Online did, and maybe use that sort of business model of constant content updates and constant patches, I feel like they could be as successful as something like that. If they don't do that and they don't patch out the bugs, then obviously that's another story. Pending a couple major bugs, I do feel like they really could get there in a year or two. So where does that leave you in terms of, okay, well, should I play this game at launch? Should I wait? I would say this. We're going to put up a video at launch, when we play at launch, of, has what's changed? Did they fix these things? Is it any better? I would say wait for that video and find out if that's, if they've done anything to that. And if they have, then maybe make a decision at that point. But I can tell you, if you don't get the game at launch, I would say you're probably going to want to, at least peek your head back in about 6 months to a year and see what the game looks like, because I can almost guarantee you this game is going to be even better then. So what do you guys think? Looking at the gameplay, watching the streams, or maybe you're in the closed beta, what do you think of it so far? What do you like? What do you like about the game? What do you not like about the game? What do you hope they fix? And what do you hope they leave the same?